You can take pictures. You can make movies. You have unlimited access to all areas. For the first time in their career, Genesis are allowing someone other than a producer into their studio. Up until now, they have kept everyone else out. They have been private about the creation of their work. Very private. Before now, no one has been allowed behind the scenes at a Genesis recording session. In the past, the producer hasn't even been allowed an assistant in the studio. But now, Mike Rutherford, Tony Banks, and Phil Collins are getting together again after spending time on their solo careers. They find themselves in a very public position. Their last album, Invisible Touch, sold many millions of copies and generated 5 hit singles. Now Genesis are under the spotlight in public. They are going to allow a spotlight in private. You are invited to look and listen as they create their first record in 5 years. They are going to write and record the album that will be called We Can't Dance. It will take them 6 months, but they don't know that yet. They just know it will be hard work.
I do most of the work. I write the songs and I sing them and I drum and I play keyboards. But I have to give Tony and Phil a bit of credit so they don't feel left out.
Let's be honest. It's truth time.
Question number 1, boys and girls.
Oh dear,
Act 1, scene 1.
Are you ever surprised people are still interested in you?
Thanks. Thank you. It's so long between albums, I suppose. We've got a definite big core of hardcore fans, a large number of hardcore fans. But, you know, sometimes you're surprised that when records selling such great numbers, as the last one did, that people still remember who you are.
Who's got the money?
Genesis Studio is called simply The Farm. It is located in an old farm in the county of Surrey.
We had this dream for years that we'd have our own studio one day. Just the idea that you can go in and write, and the minute you've got a piece of music that sounds good, you can record it. Has always been one of our dreams, I think. And we realized it on the Abacab album and subsequent albums since then, you know, and things like, one of the best examples was a song like Mama, which was actually written and recorded within hours of actually sort of writing it. It was written and recorded at the same time.
When they begin at the farm, they search for interesting sounds they might use on a record.
What I like about the way we work now is that, okay, you miss out one side, which is kind of individual songs, which is a different way of writing. But the idea is that you can do that on your solo career. Phil and Tony and me and Mike and the Mechanics, which is good. And so Genesis we kind of keep now for just going in and writing it together. I think what we do, I mean, it's always so intangible to say what we're all about. There's a certain kind of chemistry that seems to happen when the three of us improvise and play and mess around together and just make sounds. And it seems to me it's the kind of music that we can't do. It's different to what we do on our own. It's a combination of those sort of sounds and ideas.
At the start, Tony and Mike each play without knowing what the other will do, and Phil sings along with whatever comes into his head, nonsense syllables or a group of words, some of which may survive to the record.
sing with it and do a little sort of guitar.
Drum solo.
I'm first.
What's song about?
It's very nice to play the little lead licks.
So what did you say? You said something about vocals.
A lot of these songs.
Yeah.
So if you get in full swing, you'll be alright.
That's it. There's less lyrics to write, you know. Guitar solo.
Somewhere in there, I feel
Keyboard
if,
solo.
rather than come back to the vocal, I don't know where, but
If you don't want me to sing, George, I won't sing.
you could do.
If you want me to sing, I'll sing. If you don't want me to sing, I won't sing. All right? There are disagreements, but only...
I missed that. Sorry, there's everything.
No, it's okay. You didn't miss much. But I mean, I'm taking over your answer. But over 20 odd years, I think it's, given the track record of most groups, I think it is extraordinary. I'm getting teary-eyed here. But
It's sweet.
that we actually get
It's
on
very
very well,
sweet.
you know, and we actually get on and we like each other, and we have a lot of laughing in the studio, and I think that's very important.
Because they have always been alone when they record, Genesis have come to trust each other with their musical experiments and feel awkward with outsiders.
The way I write, I mean, I'm sure we all write words differently, you know, I know we do, but the way I write words is that when we're writing the music, that's to say whether we're writing it as Genesis or whether I'm writing it on my own, I'll improvise while we're writing. And that's why you have to be around people you know and not have people around you don't know, because a lot of the time you sing rubbish, you know, and a lot of the time we play rubbish. And so you really, you don't care if it's just the three of you. And eventually, if you do that long enough, and you know, over a period of years, you learn to free your mind a bit, and just to sort of improvise without even thinking about it.
Back in the mid-70s or something, you know, I think Mike and I tended to dominate the writing very much, you know, that was how it was. And, you know, nowadays I'd say it's very much split between the three of us. And I think in a band I prefer that. It's much better if everyone's got a sort of equal thing, and everyone feels equally kind of responsible for the result and equally proud of the result.
Genesis co-producer and engineer on We Can't Dance, Nick Davis.
We haven't actually got an engineer, but Nick's going to be answering the phone for the
reception. How do you divide the production responsibilities between the band and Nick Davis?
Well, in a sense, you come to depend on the person who's behind the knobs, which in this case is obviously Nick. And it's kind of very difficult to work out the lines, because you are all working towards the same thing.
Well, I think the plan is to come in next week and just put guide parts down to the songs that are in a state for doing that. Basic keyboards, basic guitars and drums, and then I think Phil wants to do real drums on songs that need real drums before moving on to the next stage. I think what was just said.
That would be the highlight of the recording.
This is the history of what became a hit song, No Son of Mine, starting from a noise called Elephant.
Please explain the reasons for working titles and give examples.
Working titles. Is it me? Heads or tails?
No, you go. You just
Go
answer
on,
what
you
you
start.
do.
Oh, I see, all right, I'll answer it. Working titles are really just a label you hang on a song so that when you talk about it next time, you remember what you're talking about. It's really just the first thing that comes into your mind, which is going to be something you can remember it by.
This track, what's it called?
Elephant at the moment. Why? Why? Because of this, I think. I would have thought.
That sort of funny noise here at the beginning was a sort of sample I did of sort of noise in the rehearsal room, which was mainly Mike, but fiddling around with it, playing it backwards and sort of doing funny things to it. And it was really playing that, and as soon as I played that with the chord, we had a song, we knew that.
We were sitting in that room writing, and we came to the chorus, what was to become the chorus. I was singing, "Oh son of mine, oh son, you know son." And Mike said to me when we came to writing the lyrics, or dishing out the songs, to saying, "Well, I'd like to write that one. I'd like to write that one, blah blah blah." You know, he said, "On that song, it sounds like you're singing 'No Son of Mine.'" And I don't know what I was singing, really. I was singing something like that. But then suddenly he put that in my mind, that that's what I'd been singing. And so at that point, I went and wrote the lyrics that made sense of what I'd improvised. The story is a young boy, I don't know how old, maybe 11, 12 years old, who basically he lives in a family of abuse. The father is the bad guy, and he just can't stand it anymore. The friction in the house, the fact that every night the guy comes home drunk and just either molests him or abuses his mother. That's really what it's about. And of course the boy, as he gets older, he realises he misses his family and can't believe that his father was all that bad, and he goes back and sees his father, plucks up courage to go back home, knocks on the door with his heart in his mouth, not knowing what the reaction is going to be, and all his father is exactly the same. You know? I said, "No, king's son of mine, son. Cough out of it."
That's the best overplay. It's downhill from now on.
What are you up to at the moment?
Just trying to come up with ideas for the end of Rolling Toms. When I should just take over, do my thing. There's no good questions, I go to pieces when you ask questions.
How's it been getting? How you been getting on with your lyrics?
2 down, 1 to go.
Which ones are the ones that you've gone for?
BB Hit, which I'm doing now, which is probably going to be called Never the Right Time. It's never the right time. Never the right time to say, or something like that. It'll have the word never in the title.
There is never a time to say.
Okay.
This is the first time Phil Collins has been filmed recording a Genesis lead vocal.
There is never a time to say, 'cause it seems to me we've lost our way, so we carry on down the road, and we live our lives haunted by all the things.
All right.
Can't you see what's going on?
Okay.
'Cause we're all played out. We've lost our way, and I hope
The vocal on BB Hit, which will become Never a Time, is not coming easily.
Okay.
and we live our lives haunted by all the things.
The melody on the first So Sad at the end there,
Yeah.
it's sort of a thing. I'd be nice if it didn't go down quite as far, I think. So you go so sad. If it just went so sad, so sad. Just because it doesn't really go with the chord that's
So sad,
Just
so
try.
sad.
Yeah.
Actually, do you want to hear Twiddle you did on the old one? Because it's a really nice twiddle you used to do.
Fine. There's a better
Maybe that's it, Gary, for a bit.
He's still the same miserable guy he always was. No, he's still Phil. That doesn't really he hasn't changed very much in that sense. I think the way the public perceive or imagine that we operate, they seem to think somehow that because he's done so incredibly well as a solo artist, it affects what happens in here in the studio. Don't quite know why, but maybe they seem to think that you know, he kind of steams in and says, "Now what we're doing, lads, is, you know," it hasn't really changed us, the studio, very much, I don't think.
Do it again.
Ha.
Oh, that's weird.
Ha. I do now, actually.
It's just a dodgy button. Dodgy button, Jeff.
Hold on my heart, hold on my heart.
I put backracks on my early heroes, really, and I love the way he uses chords and was able to have big hits with songs that used a multitude of chords. And I suppose the song "Hold on My Heart," which we call Bert, you know, has an element of that.
Provisionally named after the composer Burt Bacharach, Bert becomes Hold on My Heart.
Hold on my heart, just hold on to that feeling. We both know we've been here before. We both know what can happen. Hold on my heart, 'cause I'm looking over your shoulder. Ooh, please don't rush in this time. Don't show her how you feel. So hold on my heart. Throw me a lifeline. I'll keep a place for you somewhere deep inside. Hold on my heart, please. Tell her to be patient, 'cause there has never been a time that I wanted something more. If I can recall this feeling, and I know there's a chance where I will be there. Yes, I will be there. Be there for you whenever you want me to. Whenever you call, oh, I will be there. Yes, I will be
Yeah, first one was brilliant. Yeah.
So hold on my heart.
Let's go in there. Let's go in there.
All right.
Do you know what Nick and I just said? We just said, it was very good lines, we just said nearly all the Whole of My Hearts are really good. And then you sang that one.
Do you think that after 25 years, the danger is that you become too close to one another?
Well, I mean, that's the reason for doing all the stuff outside. You couldn't just do the group, you know, for this length of time. We'd have gone nuts, I think. But and you wouldn't get any new input, you know. But I mean, since we've all done quite a lot outside, each time you come back and make a new album, you're bringing new ideas in, and that seems to make it work.
Well, it's nothing to do with me. It's nothing to do with me either. It's nothing to do with me. Yeah, but it's Tony's video.
During the 6 months Genesis are recording We Can't Dance, Tony Banks releases a single with Nick Kershaw, who recently wrote the hit song The One and Only. They meet again to make a promotional video.
I mean, you know, that's just switched off, isn't it? You know?
So,
Oh, no.
When's the next Genesis?
That's a very good question. We'll hope to get it out before Christmas.
That's me. It's a question for me. Do you ever listen to Mike and the Mechanics? Yes, I do. I've listened to it. I have all the albums. I like A lot of it. I love Paul Carrick's voice. Paul Carrick could sing the Telephone Directory. As far as I'm concerned, he's got a wonderful voice.
Mike Rutherford, Paul Carrick, and the other mechanics convene for a photo session to publicize their latest record.
Who would you have chosen for the Ivor Novello Songwriter of the Year award?
Who would I have chosen?
Phil Collins won the Ivor Novello Award for Songwriter of the Year.
Did he win it this year?
Yes. I had no argument with the decision at all. Who's, I don't know anybody else. I only listen to me. Very, very much.
All the provisional Genesis titles are eventually changed. A good example is Irish.
I think Irish, which is now called Driving the Last Spike, is very strong. I think it's probably for me, I think it's one of Phil's best lyrics he's ever done in Genesis. And I think it's extremely strong.
So what is that song about, actually?
It's, ask him, it's easy. He'll tell you anyway.
I remember this book, which I was sent by Dennis Waterman, actually, because he was going to make a film of it. And he sent me the book because he wanted me to be in it. But the work that these guys did on the railway to make the English railways it's a very touching story because they left their families, and some of them never went home again. Some of them died very young because of the amazing conditions they were living in and working in. And the accidents they had were pretty horrific. And even if they did survive, the strain on their backs and the physical strain of doing the job was just quite incredible. So I've written the words based on that, based on one person's view of it, who leaves his family, not knowing if he's going to go back. He goes to work on the railways and witnesses this horrendous accident and the deceit, because the people that were in charge of building the railways didn't really care. It was all hush-hush, all the deaths. No one really if you weren't in that community, you didn't know about it. And so there's that that shock of finding out that no one really cared about it. And then the fact that the guys really were breed unto themselves, and eventually he becomes hardened to the whole thing. So it's quite, that's a 10-minute song, so there's a lot of 4 pages of words.
But still they wanted more. We sweat and we toil, good men lost their lives. I don't think they knew what for. I sold them my heart, I sold them my soul, I gave everything I had.
What would you think if your children decided to get into this business?
I wouldn't really care one way or the other. I'd prefer if they didn't, in a way, just because it's a business I know, so it'd be more fun if they're doing something I didn't know. But it's up to them what they do, really. I don't think there's much likelihood of it, really. I don't think either of them are particularly attracted to it. And my son is old enough now to know. I think he's already, perhaps it's because he's my son, but he's already a bit too cynical about it. When I was his age, I liked everything. I had no discrimination at all, really. I liked everything in the top 30, whether it was Acapulco or, Bobby Darin, whatever happened to be in the charts at the time. Whereas he's already as selective as I am, He won't listen to most things in the charts.
Tony, what do you hate or like most about me?
About who?
Me!
Well, I'm not allowed to mention that song, am I? No.
He doesn't like me. What irritates you most about me?
Your height. Lack of hair. I don't know, actually, what can I say? The guy's here.
So you talk about me behind my back?
I could be totally truthful if he wasn't here. I could tell you all sorts of things.
Would you steer your children away from the music business?
No, my son's 15, he's just forming his own group. He's a very good drummer. And he's starting to write, and he's interested in all that and recording himself. But I would not discourage, but I would be very realistic. So because he doesn't, he thinks that I just arrived and here I am, you know. He doesn't know that you spend 20 years in the back of a van. Well, 15 years because I'm only 25.
Look at that funky road.
Tom, my 10-year-old, he's a good drummer and plays the sax. I mean, if he was keen, really keen, I'd encourage him, but I wouldn't go out of my way to encourage him. Mainly because I think, I don't know, I probably sound like the old, the old timer who says in my day, but I mean, when we started, it was all a bit of a game. It was a laugh, you know. The idea you can make a living out of doing this never occurred to you. And now it's a big business. It's gone very serious.
I've all decided you've got to keep fit. I mean, I've been cycling forever. I mean, I've always cycled for years, you know. But to do it in the studio, I'd never thought about doing it during guitar solos, which is, in fact, a great thing to do because, you know, you can't stay in the studio while all that's happening. And Phil's decided he wants to sort of lose weight, you know, and stuff like that. So he was cycling around. I just cycle because I enjoy it, you know. In the studio, Turner is such a vegetable, really. There's no exercise at all. And so the cycling, it just sort of, you know, makes the blood go around a bit faster.
Do you compete?
Oh, there's no competition.
No?
I'll beat him hollow.
Very restful.
A restful-sounding song, originally called Nile, gets a Tony Banks lyric titled Fading Lights.
It kind of sounds like, you know, the boat going up the Nile, and a slow-moving ship in the water, that kind of thing. In the writing process for us, so often we find things by mistakes. Someone hits a wrong note, and it sets you off in a direction that you hadn't even thought about going.
Another time it might have been so different.
When we're writing, Tony and I don't know what key the other person's playing in. And sometimes we come to record songs and I'll say to him, "Is that what you played? That didn't sound like that to me."
Now it's just another fading memory. Out of focus. The outline.
You know, when you combine the two parts, it makes up a nice sound, but individually, they're often quite different. And vice versa, he'll say, "You didn't play that, did you?" And it's just, he hadn't heard it that way until he isolated my part. And that's the kind of chemistry that I think is what is good about Genesis.
What do you think's your favourite lyric on this album?
The ones I wrote, undoubtedly, Fading Lights, which I wrote quite quickly, in fact. Nick calls it one of my terminal songs. I was sort of, I don't know, perhaps as you get older, really, you find yourself looking back sometimes and thinking about things that can't be anymore. And you don't quite know what's going to happen in the future, so you don't know quite what is the final thing. When you're actually experiencing the last time you ever do something, you don't know that it is the last time you ever do it, which is sort of interesting thought, I thought. And so I kind of wrote a song about that. And sort of just generally looking back, it's a nostalgic sort of song. I mean, it could be corny, but I think I was quite pleased with some of the lines in it.
Well, I don't think it would sound very good with drumming.
No, just drums a bit power.
Fading Lights is about to undergo a drastic change.
The needle will be jumping off the record.
I often see solos as a bit like sort of like stories and things like that. You know, when I'm doing something like the Fading Lights thing, the reason I wrote the lyric in the way that I did in the end was because I thought the idea of the solo being a sort of example of a kind of life, you know, ups, downs, and things going right and wrong and all that, is quite a nice way of doing it, you know. Because the way I write solos is they have a lot of variety in them. You know, don't tend to stay in one mood all the time, so you tend to get the different flavours coming in and out.
Fading Lights is nearly finished. Soon, the members of Genesis will be performing this music live on stage.
Is there a dream or a stage nightmare that you have?
Oh, well, dreaming, you go on stage, it's like the schoolboy one where you go to school and there's nothing you can stop yourself from walking down the street, but you've got nothing on apart from a shirt and jacket. Nothing else, no pants, nothing. That's a famous schoolboy nightmare, I think, or a male nightmare anyway. And I think that's quite a common one. On stage, it's usually that kind of thing. You're standing there, you're singing, and then you look down and there's actually you've got nothing on, you know. Or what we've all had individually is
when I get out on stage and either
You're trying to do a song with all the wrong keyboards, you know, and stuff, and the sound is just completely wrong.
or I hit the first chord. It's a fairly standard dream, I think. I hit the first chord and there are no guitar strings.
none of the leads are plugged. There's no leads. The leads are plugged into the wrong things.
And there's cries for Dale or there's Jeff now. I forget what happens after that. I think I wake up actually. Rolling Toms is now called Dreaming While You Sleep.
And you wrote the lyric for that?
Yeah, well, it started off, Phil used to sing Dreaming While You Sleep. And actually Tony was going to do the lyric, because we kind of pick out songs we want to do, and he was down to do that one, which is fine by me. But then I had an idea driving along one day it's about a guy who hits a girl, hit and run really. Didn't see her with the car headlights on a night in the rain, and doesn't stop. And he drives off and leaves her. But then he can't escape the fact that he hasn't told anybody and he can't live with the guilt. So he kind of goes back to the hospital where she's lying in a coma for ever, I guess. I mean, she's still in the coma and the song finishes. And he kind of becomes attached to her. And his life gets linked up with hers and he can't sort of escape, really.
Dreaming while you sleep.
So cool.
All my life, you lie silently there. All my life, in a world so unfair. All my life, and only I know why. And it will live inside.
I had this idea and then I persuaded Tony that I was going to do it.
What did he say to that?
Well, he didn't. I mean, he wanted to do it, but I mean, it's the way it works. I had an idea, and I said, "Well, let me try it, and if it's good, fine. If not, if it's not a great idea, then you have a go."
It will live inside of me. Which I don't know how loud you're hearing it, but it
I
sounds.
couldn't really work out what was happening in the chorus. Well, I couldn't tell if it was him or just mine.
All right. There was a good thing at the end of the chorus. Do you want to come and have a listen to what we got and so see what you think of them,
Yeah.
so you can hear what they sound like?
I'd rather go for a specific. Well, I thought what it was. I mean, no one rang. It's just something. I thought.
Do you want to do another pass?
Tony, is it true you always had a fear of flying?
The first 2 or 3 times I flew in my life, I enjoyed it. And then the first time we ever flew as a band, we did a trip down to Rome, I think it was. And I found I was terrified, and I don't know why. I mean, there's nothing specific happened at all. It was a fairly gentle flight.
Heard it on the radio, saw it on TV. Could I take my secret to the grave?
You know, if I have enough to drink, I can be all right, just about. But I'm always conscious of it. It's the thing, if you stop concentrating, the plane will drop, you know, it's a classic problem, I'm told, you know. So you have to keep thinking about it all the time. It's very, very tense after a sort of 24-hour flight, you know, and you're still thinking about it, trying to keep that plane in the air, but... It's true. You've got to think it. If you stop thinking about it, then it falls down. Sounds silly, doesn't it?
After all this time, Genesis still pay attention to reviews in the music press.
I'm always hoping that this will be the album, or the album you're working on will be the time when they say, no, hang on, let me think about this. Maybe this isn't as bad as I keep writing or saying it is. But I think that time has long gone now. I don't think we'll get any more time or patience from music critics than we can expect.
Well, but obviously music critics can change. I mean, music critics, they presumably can't be the same people there forever, We have in the past had some people who used to like us, and there may be some who come back again.
Very mellow for Tony.
I'm feeling mellow now.
Okay.
Fuck 'em,
We're all wankers as far as I'm concerned.
Jesus, he knows me, and he knows I'm right. I've been talking to Jesus all my life. Oh, yes, he knows me, and he knows I'm right.
Basic idea of the lyric was born when we wrote the song. And when you're working with the rough idea of Jesus, he knows me and he knows I'm right, which was the thing that was improvised, taking that along its logical conclusion, you end up with talking about someone that's kind of fanatic, is sort of, I know what I'm talking about because I'm in touch with the Lord, sort of manic Christians, really. And I think TV evangelists sum up that, because they're making an incredible amount of money fleecing people, 90% of them fleecing people. And they claim that because Jesus, they're in touch with Jesus, everything's okay.
God will take good care of you, which is to do as I say, don't do as I do.
I like Jesus, He Knows Me, which is a much more cynical song, which is more cynical than Phil normally is. He's normally a bit more sort of genuine, And I mean, I'm a bit of a cynic myself, as you probably spotted. And so I like this sort of very cynical approach of that song. I like it a lot. And it sounds good too. I mean, that's the other thing about lyrics, got to actually sound good when it's sung.
The way that it goes, and I know I'm gonna tell you right now.
Okay. Do you want to come in and see what we've got?
Man, Mr. Davis.
What's that? No, just say, do you want to come and have a listen to what we have here?
No.
No?
Well, that's the only track, isn't it?
Right. Oh no, I went to that track.
Okay.
Huh?
No, well, I'll just not sing for a bit.
She's going to stand there and sulk.
I get annoyed with myself. There's nothing else really.
Let's check the second verse.
There are 71 minutes of music on We Can't Dance. Some came easier than others. Some were very hard work.
You've got to be...
Turn that fucking camera off for a minute. Just for a minute. Sometimes you get blocks. Like there was a block when we did BB Hit for some reason. I was singing out of tune and I was getting very frustrated, so I went out for a bike ride. Came back and it was all right, really. Thank you so much for your support.
'Cause we're all played out. We've lost our way, yeah. Oh, I thought you would be
That one, not that three.
so
I like what you played now.
understanding. And by now you see that, oh no. So sad.
It's your phone. What have been the highs and lows of this album so far?
Heads.
Heads.
I think the high points actually were Blue Jeans and I Can't Dance Since I Lost You, because they started off from nothing and became something.
I Can't Dance.
I'll show you what's on it. How to construct a hit. Some money rolling in. Yeah, well, there's more noises. It's all out of keyboard. Just sort of percussion noises really. And it's just Tony playing it like a keyboard rather than like a drum machine, which is quite interesting. Then Mike.
We call called it Blue Jeans because it was like the riff had a sort of feel a little bit like the sort of songs they use in jeans commercials.
The Hot Sun stuff, the Hot Sun, all that kind of thing, that was improvised, and then...
Yes, and the idea then was to write a lyric that was sort of, you know, took the piss out of the ads for jeans.
Tony grooving on this roads here, which sounds great.
About me is the way that I walk. I can dance, I can sing. I'm just standing here selling. Oh, I'm checking everything is in place. You never know who's looking on. The perfect body with a perfect face.
There's some bass here. Yeah.
It was actually done in about half hour.
And of course the drums on it.
And the drums were actually not
actually
me.
keyboard drums.
I'd say the real drums at the end, but the slightly shabby stuff at the front is actually him.
Co-producer Nick Davis mixes the track Since I Lost You, and then the recording of We Can't Dance is all over.
To be honest, I don't really think about an audience till now, till the album's finished. I think, I don't care what they think really. It's very important that you don't actually give a damn about them, because you've got to make the record for you, and the record that you like, and the songs you like. And in a way, we're kind of so insular here that it's always hard when a record's finished. You've got to kind of hand it over. It's your baby, and you know, you're so close to it.
I prefer to think of successful in terms of it was a successful project, in as much as what we set out to achieve we did, and we got it to sound good. Then you let this baby go and let it run away and enter into the real world, and of course that's when people either buy it or don't, you know, as the case may be.
What stage are you at now with the record?
Putting the final thing together, assuming that we don't decide the order's not right, but I think we think it is right, so that's it. Bye.
No trouble at all, no fighting. Never mind.
The trouble is, what happens now is that we finish the album. It means the good bit's finished and the bad bit starts. The promotional side is something that it's just, you've got to do it. I mean, it's hard work. It's not much fun. The gigs are fun. So there's a big gap now until touring starts, when the work side is a little bit less fun. I've done the bit I like best, really. Done a lot of this, and I've got to do a lot of that.
Is it hard to think of album titles?
Tails.
It can be. This one's been a bit harder. They either come day one, very early on at the song title, and you've got it, or you've got to hunt a bit. This one we've had to look a bit hard. No song title really came out. It's going to be called Man and Boy.
Moment in Time.
It's going to be called We Can't Dance.
You going? And you're going too?
Genesis are going too. They will play We Can't Dance on a 13-week tour this coming summer. See you then.